every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome in once again to the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Smash that subscribe button, hit that like button if you very much enjoy these neural network and RStudio model profiles. Today we're going to be looking at running back Chase Brown. Chase Brown was drafted number 163 overall by the Cincinnati Bengals, and they come into the league out of the University of Illinois in the Big Ten College. Looking at some of their physical traits, we see that Chase Brown comes in at 5'10", 209 pounds with a BMI of 30.0, a very nice 40 time of 4.43, which gives us a speed score, a very solid 108.5. Putting these physical traits and along with some of their college numbers into the RStudio regression analysis model, we do get a prospect score of 14.510, which ranks number 93 overall out of the 310 running backs in the RStudio model's database, which is the 70th percentile. Shifting over to see who the closest comparables are to Chase Brown, we see the next best above them, Stephen Ridley, Doug Martin, Kalen Ballage, David Wilson, and one Alvin Kamara. Then we see the one slightly below, Zach Moss, Kenneth Dixon, Maurice Jones-Drew, Brian Hill, and Andre Brown. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. Same R scores as these guys. Chase Brown, going into Cincinnati, could potentially be getting quite a bit of volume there, depending on what happens with Joe Mixon. If that's the case, he's got some interesting comps here with Alvin Kamara, Doug Martin, Maurice Jones-Drew, all putting up pretty solid fantasy points in their own regard at some point during their careers. So those are pretty good. Some of those other ones, Kenneth Dixon, Zach Moss, Kalen Ballage, not necessarily as good. David Wilson, a big bust there. So wouldn't expect him necessarily to be in that range of prospect or hype coming in, as he was a later pick. Number 163 overall, but he's got some interesting comparables there. So now let's switch over to that machine learning model for Chase Brown and give that a look. We can see that Chase Brown comes in with a mean of 11.44, a median of 11.39, that minimum prediction at 7.54, the maximum prediction 16.12, the 10th percentile ranking 8.61, 25th percentile outcome is 9.89, that 75th percentile outcome 3.10, and 90th percentile outcome for Chase Brown is 14.09 with a mid-50 gap of 3.21, which is fairly large for this particular rookie running back class. Kind of getting into some of those numbers, that 11.1 or 11.44, 11.4 range for the average outcome. We're looking at three prospects, all that had 11.4 as their best fantasy points per game in their career. Ty Montgomery, Andre Brown, Alex Collins. Slightly above that, 11.43. Felix Jones, Salvan Ahmed, 11.5 there during his best season. Darrell Williams, 11.53, Jerick McKinnon, 11.55, Matt Breida, 11.6. So you're looking at that a little bit above. A little bit below, Carlos Williams, Trey Mason, J.K. Dobbins at 11.23, Charles Sims, 11.2, Michael Carter, 11.03. So that's about an average outcome should Chase Brown find himself with 80 opportunities in a season. Getting into that max of 16.12, we see in that particular range, DeAndre Swift at 16.07, Ahmad Bradshaw 16.05, CJ Spiller 15.96, 15.65 for Chris Carson, Tony Pollard a little bit below that at 15.55. So this is, again, Chase Brown's ceiling. We're looking at outcomes, if he completely hits, that's about what we can expect. A little bit above that, Theo Riddick, 16.2. Myles Gaskin, 16.42. Breece Hall last year, 16.44. Shane Vereen, 16.8. So somewhere in that range in terms of best case scenario for Chase Brown. And then we saw what those mean and median scores were and the players associated there. Just trying to look at their rankings. How do these guys, or how does Chase Brown stack up with the rest of the guys in this class? we can switch over to the rankings here. And we see that the mean rank is 14th overall. Chase Brown was the 10th running back selected in this year's draft, so keep that in mind. His minimum rank is 10th best in the class, maximum rank there 15th best in the class, and then getting into some of those outcomes, 10th percentile outcome 16th, 15th overall for the 25th percentile outcome, 13th for the 75th percentile outcome, and the 90th percentile outcome, the 14th best, with the mid-50 gap there as the 32nd out of 36 profiles in this year's rookie running back class. Again, that's really just saying that the predictions for Chase Brown were more spread out across everything, which is furthering the 25th percentile and the 50th or 75th percentile ranges further and further apart. The further apart those are, the neural network is just suggesting that they have a wider range of outcomes should they get 80 opportunities in a season. Chase Brown could be fairly decent, but he also could be pretty bad. And that seems to be the general consensus with his profile. He's got all the athletic traits. It just seems like maybe he doesn't have some of these football skills down, such as blocking, things like that, which could lead to, some pretty poor outcomes for him in general. And that's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Chase Brown. Hopefully these RStudio models and these machine learning models that we're going over for the prospects can give you a little bit additional confidence or that additional information and all that analysis that you're doing for all of these incoming rookies. I appreciate the views, everybody. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.
Really be on top. Wake up every morning with drive. Been on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt in the